I will forever be grateful to Arcane for reinvigorating Riot's desire to explore the lore of Runeterra. Right now, we're in the middle of a season that is dedicated to exploring the lore of Noxus, one of the many regions in the world of League of Legends, Runeterra, whatever you want to call it. And everything added gameplay-wise still ties into the overall narrative. Like, we got a new jungle monster called Atakhan, and he is lore accurate. And to explore that lore, Riot gave us a motion comic that's embedded into the League client. So that's really accessible right in front of you. Like, you don't even have to go to a different website, because Riot does have an entire website dedicated to the lore and the universe, but to not have to leave the client, that's cool. And while I've seen some of the lore regarding Atakhan in some of Necrit's videos, I'm really interested in seeing this comic for myself. So let's dive into it. The fact you even get Battle Pass XP for this is crazy. Oh, that's a cool loading screen. It's a Black Rose logo. Power in and of itself is useless. Is that Mordekaiser's helmet? Oh, that's sick. Oh, that's beautiful. What matters is how it's wielded. The distant past. Katashli. Oh. Renowned general in a great army. His strength was formidable, but it was all in service of his lord. The son who saw the conquered king. This is Mordekaiser. Believe it or not, this is what Mordekaiser looked like in his life before he became the Lord of Death. Like, that's literally what his name means. Oh, I love Mordekaiser's lore so much. They probably go into it a little bit more here, but TLDR for his lore, he was a grand general of an army. He was really good at conquering the world. And then when he died, he believed he would go to something akin to Valhalla, like Vikings go to, that everyone who died in battle would die a warrior's death and get a seat at afterlife there. And then he died and he didn't. And he got so upset that he didn't fade away like every other soul in that afterlife. But out of spite, he learned the language of the death and created his own afterlife, which is so bizarre and cool to me. The man just believed in something so much that he just made it happen. And he became like the leader, like the king of it. And then he resurrected himself and tried to create mayhem, which LeBlanc, which we saw in the League of Legends cinematic for this season, is actively trying to stop from happening, because he wants to take over the living world just as the deaf one. Now, let's continue. Violence often attracts more violence, and the scent of death is a powerful draw. Is that a demon? Zanuzal kept no friends. Makes sense. There were only those he could see, and those he destroyed. All demons are the same in Runeterra. They lie. Oh, that looks sick. They defy. Is that Atakhan? That would make so much sense. And they hunger. And they should not be underestimated. All this looks so cool. I'm just geeking inside. Katashli's devotion to his leader was unquestionable. Still, he was only human. Oh, he got wrecked. Zanusal was not one for sentiment. And yet, he would not let his life go easily. Also, he died by the hands of Atakhan. That's cool. That's a cool narrative point. Using arcane scrolls seized from his conquests, Zanusal found one way to thwart death. A binding. Wait. The cost of which would not be his to bear. United in one monstrous body, Katashli's and Atakhan's existence became one of horror and violence. Zanuzal's conquest only hastened. Atakhan served dutiful. But upon the conqueror's first death, his hold on the demon was broken. Okay, so what they refer to as his first death is when he first died as a human. Because Mordekaiser was able to become death and control it more, he was able to resurrect himself and like die at least 2 more times in like a way. Like, he was already dead. Look at how awesome he looks. Let me move away my camera so you can see. This is sick, right? And to touch upon the centuries later thing, the whole story of Sun Uzal happened like 1,000 years in the past, something like that. Because it was like 500 years before the Empire of Noxus erected that this all happened. And I think we're like another 500 years after. So we're talking about a long time ago that most of this happened. Yeah, Mordekaiser, he resurrected himself and he started using the souls of his fallen army that he started collecting after his first death as his new soldiers. It's very solo leveling if you want to compare it to something. Including the Bringer of Ruin, Atakhan. Look at how cool he looks in his resurrected form. But yeah, this helmet lies on the ground before Atakhan spawns. Like, whenever it's decided on what lane he spawns, like bot lane or top lane, you have this new circle thing with barriers that are permanent for the rest of the game. And you see this pile, and on top is a helmet. And that is the helmet, I'm pretty sure. That's such a cool detail. But the demon had grown used to its freedom. Oh, yeah, it's been longer since he was... enslaved is not the right word, but a deal was made, whatever. Since he was in the power of Mordekaiser, then he was actually in the power of Mordekaiser. I needed a reminder of who it served. Is that LeBlanc? No, it's probably just some random person. The years that followed brought untold death and destruction at last. Opportunity. I will never forget that day. The only thing sweeter than wielding power, oh, that's LeBlanc, look at her, is taking it away. Who's the other mage? As I said. Now, power in of itself is useless. What matters is how it's wielded. It requires one more thing. Time, a currency I've never lacked. Oh yeah, she's immortal. She's hundreds, if not thousands of years old. Plants are simple things. Oh, look at the blood roses. Oh. And all that needed is a right moment. Oh, that looks sick. So part of Atakhan's game mechanic is that he spawns these bloody roses all over the map, and if you take them, you buff your team, like, slightly. And Atakhan has two forms, which depend on how many kills were made that game. In one of the rewards of killing one of the forms is getting a lot of these rose petals. But I thought they were part of Atakhan in and of itself, and that the Black Rose's magic was just similar to it. But I just didn't know that LeBlanc, the leader of the Black Rose, was the one who enchanted him to come back and, like, imprison him again. And that's why it's all covered in roses, because that's her magic mixed with Atakhan's. That's so cool. Oh my god! And a little push. He's actually quite impressive for a new jungle monster, not gonna lie. I don't think I can express how cool this was if you're not necessarily into lore like I am. Like, I'm just geeking out of how they actually connected in-game mechanics to the current lore. Because for a lot of people that have played League of Legends at one point in time, the main map is called Summoner's Rift. And that's, like, related to the old lore. Because originally, these champions that we're seeing, they went to some kind of fight club, and then people called summoners were able to control them like puppets to use them in a fight. Bit like Pokemon. We, the players, are the summoners, and we use the champions to fight for us. That's why some champions still have voice lines that say something related to a summoner or talk to you directly as the summoner. That's currently no longer any part of the lore. That was retconned quite early into League's run. So a lot of lore of characters are just related to, like, sort of like lore reasons for their abilities and maybe some voice lines, but not necessarily much else. Because Summoner's Rift in and of its own is completely retconned. So them tying together the sequel lore of Arcane, which I'm gonna call it. I know it's a bit cringe for people that are just into League's lore and are like, Arcane, whatever. But it is. Like, the cinematic is a sequel to Arcane. It's all about Noxus. It's all about exploring the Black Rose, which was set up to be the next big thing in the next show. Because that storyline was not wrapped up at all. That just started, like they give us a peek. So it's wrapping up Arcane, the first lore after Arcane, the new mechanic on the Summoner's Rift, and old lore, like Mordekaiser's origins, LeBlanc's motivations, that was already part of the universe, and something so simple as a comic, though it's a motion comic, so it's extra cool, like it just looks amazing, but it would have worked as a normal comic as well. It just ties all those aspects together in a way to really make it connected, and even though it's not that significant, like it's not some major change like Arcane did with inventing Hextech, like decades later than it was in the original lore. Like in the original lore, by the time Caitlyn is 20, she gets a Hextech rifle, and Hextech had been around for decades. But now it's invented in her lifetime. I don't know, I'm just geeking out and I'm loving this, and yeah, I hope Riot makes more of these, and I believe they have done in the past, so I'm gonna look up videos from them so I can react to them in retrospect, because this is a cool way of storytelling, and I hope Riot does it more. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. By reading that I got enough XP to unlock this orb, let's just open that. Please be good. Never mind.